This tariff move by Donald Trump that happened just overnight, a 90-day pause. And Donald Trump has, of course, said it's because people were getting yippy.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know. They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions. Because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents, they wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done.
So the big question today, is this just the art of the deal, or did he blink in the face of a lot of pressure from his finance bros? I want to bring in our business editor, Ross Greenwood, with me now. Investors are pretty happy. It was a good night on Wall Street. The ASX just opened, up 6% at the open, and it is still going. What about the individual shares?
Yippee, what about that for a word? Using a great golf term there. Here's the ASX 200 right now, up by 5%. It's a very strong day. In the United States, as we'll explain, it pretty much remade most of the losses that have been incurred in some of those historic losses in recent times. And here, things are incredibly strong. Let's go to some of the top stocks now. What you can see, BHP up by almost 7%. Commonwealth Bank, the biggest stock in the market, up by 4.5%. CSL, which was affected significantly because of its exports to the United States, up 5.5%. Rio Tinto, iron ore miners of all types have done really well. So BHP, Rio Tinto, it's up more than 7%, and ANZ up by 5%. But let's go to some of the stocks that have done best of all. Zip, the buy now, pay later company that has operations in the States, up 16.5%. Pro Medicus, which again has operations in America. It's an imaging company which basically saves on software the images of medical images, up by 10%. Hub24, a financial services company, up 13%. Goodman Group, this is interesting. It makes all of Amazon's warehouses around the world. One of the biggest manufacturers of warehouses around the world and in America, up 13.3%. Mineral Resources, lithium miner, up more than 14%. So here you've got some significant turnarounds, big changes, big swings in wealth after this week. Here's the US markets overnight, and these are historic gains in these markets. Wow. NASDAQ, look, can I just explain to people, a solid move up or down is about 2.5%.
Yeah.
So to see the NASDAQ move 12.1% last night.
Hasn't happened in 24 years.
The broad markets, that's right. And I'll show you that very, very shortly because, again, these historic moves are really very significant. So say, for example, I know the Dow Jones hasn't really moved that fast, that quickly since COVID. NASDAQ, as you say, it's 24 years since it moved by that amount on one day. And the S&P, I think it's the best part of 20 years since it's had that type of move, 9.5%. So this is what happened overnight. So you can see it's poodling along, right, the market at the opening, just poodling along. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump says 90-day pause, and that's what happened. It just took off. And so this enormous amount, it was almost a rush to get back into stocks as soon as Donald Trump said this. So it's kind of interesting to see just the effect that one man and his decisions, especially about these tariffs, has on the financial markets.
It certainly is. We heard there from Anthony Albanese, but I just want to show you some comments from Tanya Plibersek on this program just a little earlier.
I don't think anybody watching on would be comforted by the United States and China playing chicken with the global economy. And Australia, of course, will continue to make the case that these tariffs on Australia are completely unjustified and unnecessary. The US has a trade surplus with us. We have a free trade agreement. We've got a long-standing relationship. We'll continue to make our case. We'll also continue to help our exporters diversify, make sure that they've got access to other markets.
OK, Tanya Plibersek saying that the United States in particular is playing chicken with the global economy.
Very sensible comments by Tanya Plibersek.
But she had caught up. I don't think Anthony Albanese had caught up in the media conference that he just held. He was asked a very pertinent question there. I think it was by Latika Burke saying, OK, overnight, Donald Trump has reversed or at least paused tariffs on 75% of nations, but they've just brought them in line with Australia. So nothing changes for Australia. So do we still have the best deal when all of our competitors are now at our level? We're not as good, are we personally, as we were yesterday?
Look, to be honest,
doesn't matter.
We actually export 2/5 of sweet you-know-what to the United States,
FA,
right?
let's call it.
That's it. And it's basically 5% of what we sell around the world goes to America. Beef is the big one. I get that, and that's the one issue that, of course, is important. But guess what? Americans need our beef. They cannot do without our beef. Our beef, even with the 10% tariff, is still cheaper than theirs. So that's the big issue here as well. So I kind of think that's the relativity you've got to get in this. And remember that China is a much, much bigger market. Korea, Japan, much bigger markets for our goods than what the United States
Trump
is.
has played a pretty heavy card here, I would say, because he exposed himself in many ways and says, you know, his word is his bond until it's not.
That's right.
And he even gave the market a huge hit.
Oh.
I mean...
This is the best part about this whole story.
Talk to me about this.
So we're talking literally trillions of dollars. Nearly $4 trillion has been increased overnight in wealth. Right? So what I want to... And this is the markets. Everybody's happy and they're all getting money or whatever it is that they're doing at the markets. But this is what Donald Trump did on his Truth Social. 4 hours before that stock market took off, he sent this post. This is a great time to buy DJT. We've got to love that. This is a great time to buy. 4 hours later, he reverses his decision on tariffs. And basically this happens. Apple shares up 15%, Boeing shares up 15%, Nvidia shares up almost 19%, Tesla shares up 22%, ARM, which makes chips, software, up 24%, Intel, chip maker, up 18, 19%. So effectively, he's almost given the greatest piece of inside information in the history of the world to people, if you're smart enough to work it out. Now, quite clearly, as we showed you the chart, most people didn't work it out. But the point was that Donald Trump says this is a great time to buy stocks. He's now given stock tips as well. It's incredible.
Yep. Well, I think there might be a little bit more movement next time he tweets something similar. Ross, thanks so much for that. We will see you soon.